Hello and welcome to another edition of Capital Area Chats. I'm your host, Paul Brogan, and we're about all things in the greater Concord region. The people, the places, and the things that make this an extraordinary place to live, to work, to play, and today to learn and to make friends. Because I have with me from OLLI, which is Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, I have Tori Berube, who is the program manager. She was with us last year, and I brought her back by popular demand. Welcome to the show, Tori.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to see you.
It's good to see you, too, and to talk about OLLI, which for both of us is one of our favorite topics, I think.
It's a labor of love.
Truly.
I love to talk about this program. We are about to embark on our spring term, which I think makes this the 6th term that I have been here. And so a little different, a lot of new programs, some old programs, but all great opportunities for older adults to come and learn and have fun.
And that's the thing, too, the fun aspect. Sometimes when people hear the word education or learning, they suddenly, oh no, am I going to be given a test? Do I have to get a passing grade or something else? And that's not the case at all with OLLI, is it?
No, so we offer enrichment learning classes. So we're not a matriculated program where there are tests and quizzes and grades and homework. It is really coming to class and just learning for the fun of it. So we offer courses from history and poli-sci to creative arts to film to literature to exploring out in the community to getting outside and doing an outside adventure, philosophy classes, religion classes, things that you wish you had had time to learn many, many years ago, and now you have the time, and now we give you a very inviting and welcoming space to come and learn those things without the pressure of homework and quizzes and grades. It's just a chance to tap into your passions, things that you'd like to learn more about.
And I personally have found the last 13 years I've been involved since 2012 to be an incredibly enriching experience. I mean, I've met so many amazing people, but even more so, I've been in awe as I've watched friendships form between people that have come to classes.
Yes.
And they're still the best of friends, and they do things together outside of OLLI.
Absolutely.
And it's a remarkable and it's a wonderful thing to witness.
So we have here in the Capital Region about 350, 375 members, and it is really fun to see them get together. They were just together a few weeks ago for a holiday party and a Yankee swap and food and a time of fellowship. And we know for so many of our older adults in our community, that's what they value, is that they value that social connection as part of their own well-being. And we're very lucky that we're able to provide educational courses like yours and all of these other outlets for them to gather together and to learn from each other, to share from each other, and just connect.
They have a book club, they have a movie club.
They do.
Have formed so many luncheons that they all get together and go out and enjoy.
We're a statewide agency, and some of our agents, partners in our regions, got together this summer and they hosted ice cream trails. So they would gather every couple of weeks at a local ice cream facility, have an ice cream, and just catch up over the summer when we don't offer classes because they like to be together. So we have book clubs, you mentioned. And they are all online, which is kind of interesting. And if you don't like the book club that perhaps the Concord chapter is doing this month, but you like the book that they're doing in the Manchester chapter, that's great. Go to the Manchester chapter. We have hiking clubs, walking clubs here in Concord, where they go out every couple of weeks and they'll hike a local trail. And it's different people who will come to each. There are certainly some who come to all of them, but it's just a nice way to gather.
Absolutely. How many chapters are there in New Hampshire?
So there are 4. So we have 4 learning regions. One here in Concord, one in Manchester, where we hold our classes at UNH Manchester, one at the Seacoast in Portsmouth. We are in a facility right off of in the corner of Portsmouth and Newington, pretty much.
Okay.
And then one up in the North Conway area. And this term, we're actually starting to hold our courses at the Mount Washington Observatory offices.
Ooh.
So I have to say the observatory offices and not just the observatory, because we don't make our members in Mount Washington Valley go to the top of the auto road, but on the main road in North Conway is where our offices are, and we'll be in that space for the upcoming term.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
so we have 4 sites, and folks who take a course with OLLI and register for a course can go to any site at any time to take any of our courses. Or if there is a lunch and learn opportunity or a trip that one of these regions is hosting, our members are welcome to go to them wherever they are, as long as you're an OLLI member.
That's wonderful. So that opens so many more windows to things that they can do.
Yeah, one of the recent things that we've done is in July, we took every July we go to Warner to the Pumpkin Blossom Farm.
Yes.
And they grow lavender. And they open their doors to us the day before. They open for this very limited season. And we have members from across the state who come every year because it is just a beautiful day out. We hosted reading poetry and touring Robert Frost's home in Derry. So members from across the state came, they toured his childhood home, brought their favorite Robert Frost poem, brought their lunch, sat under trees, and shared poetry for the afternoon.
Oh.
So lots of fun and
How
interesting
perfect.
things. Yeah.
How absolutely perfect.
Yeah, lots of interesting things.
And even though we're taping this in January and it's still winter, we're here also to talk about the spring term.
Yes.
And psychologically that should make people feel good because that's really not that far off. And the preview for the spring classes is here in just a couple of weeks.
Right. So on January 22nd, we will be, Tuesday, January 21st,
Yes.
Here in Concord, we will be at Tad's Place at Havenwood Heritage Heights. At 1:30, the doors will open and we welcome folks to come in, and our program starts at 2. And a preview event is really where we invite our presenters like you and many others here in the area to come and talk up their course for the upcoming term. And so you get a couple of minutes to perhaps fill in a little more of the details that are found in our course catalog and just expand upon them, and which is a great way for our members to meet our presenters to meet our members. And more often than not, it's members saying, I'm going to sign up for this course. What are you signing up for? Or let's sign up for this course together. So it's about an hour program once we get started, maybe an hour and a half here in Concord. But we talk about all the programs that are coming up. Folks who are yet to be OLLI members can come and register to join OLLI that day if they like. But they can certainly come and hear about all the things that OLLI offers. And we have refreshments. So it's a great time.
Much better.
It doesn't get much better than that. That's right. But it's Tuesday, January 1st, with the doors opening at 1:30 and the program starting at 2 at Tad's Place on East Side Drive at Havenwood Heritage Heights.
And when does registration start for the spring classes?
Great question. So registration opens on Monday, February 3rd, and promptly at 9 o'clock. And so we have many members who have gotten their catalog, identified what they want to take, circled what they want to take, and on that Monday morning, they are online, and as soon as we push the button, they are registering for courses. So members can register online, or they can call us, and we'll register them over the phone. Registration opens on Monday, February 3rd, and then the term, which is about 16 weeks, starts on Monday, February 24th.
Oh, okay.
So there's a couple of weeks between registration, and folks can register throughout the term at any point, but that Monday, February 3rd is the day that it opens,
and becomes available.
Exactly.
And the term is 16 weeks, but the per class, the number of sessions per class is not 16 weeks. That varies per class.
So 85% of the courses that we will offer, and there's about 160 courses statewide this term. About 3/4 of them are 1 or 2 class sessions.
Yes.
So they come to class twice, and it's done.
And that's it.
And then there are some that are 3 weeks, some like yours, which are 4 weeks. And we have 2 classes this term that are 8-week courses that just happen to be films courses like yours, both in Manchester, and one is with a presenter by the name of Bob Jones, who does films through the decades, and some really interesting films that are off the beaten path. And then Dr. Steve Saref, who is a psychiatrist, does a class called Madness and the Movies. And this is the 15th time or term that he has taught, with 8 movies each term that have some element of mental illness in it. So they watch a movie and then they discuss what they've learned. So they watch movies like Robin Williams in...
Yes.
Just walked right out of my head, where he's the teacher.
Yes.
It's going to come to us. Go ahead.
Good Will Hunting.
No.
No, not...
But they have watched Good Will Hunting.
Because that deals with suicide.
Right.
Then I do know the one, yes, I know the one you mean.
Yeah, it's going to come to us before we're done.
Yes.
But also, this term they watched Love Actually with Hugh Grant and Colin Firth. And they've watched he's never duplicated, so for 15 terms, 8 movies, right, so 90 movies, he's only ever duplicated, I think, twice. So that's 88 different movies, and it's really fun. But yes, so most of our courses are not 16 weeks.
No.
The vast majority of them are that 1 or 2 week course.
Which means that someone can take, if they wanted, 3 or 4 classes during the semester, because they're staggered, you know, when they are the day, morning or afternoon, Monday through Friday. And that works very well.
And most of the classes are 90 minutes, maybe maybe 2 hours, but the vast majority of them are 90 minutes to 2 hours.
And we usually with a break in the middle for 10 minutes, so people can stretch. And the other thing is that out of that 160 courses that we're offering, about 25% of them will be offered via Zoom. So for older adults who might not like to travel in the winter, or might prefer to just sit at home with a cup of tea and learn online, we offer about 1/4 of our courses on Zoom. And if folks are thinking, I don't know how to Zoom, we actually do a class on how to come to class on Zoom. And we do that before our term starts.
so folks are familiar with how to use Zoom.
Uh-huh.
And that's a great platform. That's something that started during the pandemic.
Yes.
And it's just become part
For
of
some
what we
people,
do.
it's really.
And it really allows folks from all over the state to attend. So we have one of our Zoom courses this time is Covered Bridges of New Hampshire.
Oh.
And so our presenter does this from his home or his office, and that allows him to really talk and for folks to join in and hear what were the covered bridges in my backyard. And that's appealing. So it's a great vehicle for us.
Oh, that's great. That's absolutely wonderful. Now, OLLI, is that restricted to a particular age group?
Well, that's another good question. We like to say older adults.
Yes.
Typically over the age of 50.
Okay.
But we don't check IDs at the door.
Okay.
So typically older adults, and we kind of let you determine if you're an older adult.
Right.
So we do have some folks who tend to be more on the 50-ish side.
Yes.
And we certainly have folks, we have some members that are in their late 80s that still come to classes. And when I say they come to classes, they come to a lot of classes.
Yes. Yes.
Because that's how they like to stay engaged.
Exactly.
And they've met friends, and they like the topics. In fact, one of our members who is closer to the 90-year-old side of things actually taught this previous term and did a class on TED Talks. So they all got together. The class would pick 3 TED Talks that they wanted to review, and they had a discussion, and he was one of the facilitators of that course.
Wow.
Because he enjoys TED Talks.
Uh-huh. Well, I love when people talk after I show a film, the enthusiasm that they have. And I have usually some that are closer to the 50 and then some that are older, but they're all drawn together by the subject matter. And it's really interesting, the different perspectives and the respect that people show for someone else's opinion being different. It's amazing that, you know, it's the way things should be everywhere, you know, respect for differences. But in the class, it's just a wonderful energy, and I learn from the questions people ask. I often find myself learning something I hadn't really thought about, which is a wonderful, you know, to walk away from.
I think there's a lot of wisdom that our members bring, and a lot of prior experiences that even the presenter might not be familiar with.
Very true.
And there's a really lovely mutual respect between the presenter and the members of the class.
Yes.
But as you said, between the members of the class themselves. So that everybody feels free to express a thought.
And constructive and meaningful and just so engaged.
I think that they like the opportunity. It gives them a voice.
Yes.
To talk about things that they're passionate about, and they may think in just a very slightly different way than the person sitting next to them. And you often find that after class they stop and they continue the dialogue.
Exactly.
Because they just like to talk about that subject in a little further depth than what they may have thought before they walked in the door.
Exactly. Now, Tori, the heart and soul of OLLI is volunteers and volunteerism. Would you agree? Because the majority of the individuals involved, including a lot of the volunteers, Jackie Fogarty, for instance, who does the newsletter, and you know, so many other people that contribute, is, you know, volunteers who give of their time and their energy and their talents.
Absolutely.
And it's a wonderful thing. And
so I had mentioned we have about 1,000 members statewide.
yes.
And we are a very small staff. There's only 3 of us that work full time. and one part-time person. And out of our 1,000 members, over 300 of them volunteered in some capacity last year. So whether they were a presenter, whether they were a class assistant who came to our classes and greeted the registrants as they came in, or connected with the presenter before the class, or they're a Zoom moderator who does the same thing for our Zoom classes, or they're part of our curriculum committees that put together these wonderful 160 courses each term, or they are part of what we call our central committee, which is sort of our governing committee in each region. We have 300 volunteers.
That's amazing.
And it's volunteers who might give a couple of hours over a term. It might be volunteers who give a lot more than that. But we welcome volunteers to give as they feel they can give, because again, as a volunteer-run organization, everybody brings a really rich and diverse history to being an OLLI volunteer and a background. So we have some of our volunteers are former teachers or librarians, and they have great ideas on how we do this. And some might have experience in business or fundraising, and they want to lend their experience to fill our curriculum bucket or our fundraising buckets and our teams that support those efforts. And we can't do it without our volunteers.
Exactly. And a note on presenters who are, of course, volunteers. If someone thinks that they would like to be a presenter and present a particular course, OLLI is always open to new ideas for classes. It's not set in stone that we will only do this, 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 or this. Correct?
There are certain, exactly. So we have presenters who say, one of the classes that we offered this previous term was with a new presenter who used to work for Amazon.
Oh.
And he said, I don't know if this would be any interest, but do you think people would like a class on how the heck does Amazon do what they do and get your package to you tomorrow? And how do they do that? And we said, no, we think that would be a really interesting class. And it was so interesting, 50 of our members said, I want to go to that class. So we certainly have disciplines that we tag to our classes. But we are open to pretty much any type of class. And you know, they range from being outside and doing an adventure or an outdoor tour. We had a class this past fall where women got together. It just happened to be all women. And they did dried flower arranging in pressed flowers in frames. And I love to tell that story and to share that because our classes are usually conversational and lecture and give and take. And this class, she spoke and then she put them to task to develop their own pressed flower artwork. And you could have heard a pin drop once they sat down to work because they had their flowers, they knew what they wanted to do, and they just sat there for an hour and a half for, I think, 3 weeks, putting their artwork together. And they might lean over and say, what do you think? Or is this a good choice for whatever? But just a wonderful example of how diverse our presenters are and the styles that they use to teach.
And it is. I mean, in 13 years, it's just been an enriching experience for me, certainly. And I see the response and hear people talking, and I hear about the other classes they're taking, and they're so, you know, over the moon with the enthusiasm for, you know, what they're doing with their lives. And I think OLLI serves an invaluable part of life for so many people, and has just, now OLLI has been in New Hampshire for how many years now?
We just celebrated our 20th anniversary. So we began in 2004 as a program run through what was at the time Granite State College. And about 2 years ago we moved and are now part of UNH.
UNH.
But we have been here for 20 years, and we have folks who have been members for a lot of those 20 years.
20 years, exactly.
Which is wonderful. And we have new folks who join us every term, and we're hopeful that more folks here in the Capital Region will do so for our spring term.
Yes, and come to the free preview on the 21st. 1:30 is sort of a meet and greet casual. And
Grab
then the
a cookie.
program itself starts at 2, and you'll have a catalog, and you'll hear about the classes that are described in there that are being done in the Concord area. And often that will be the defining moment for somebody who, well, I don't know if I want to take it, but once they have a human being up there, the presenter, talking about it, and they sometimes realize, I wouldn't mind being in a classroom with that individual. They seem to have an enthusiasm for the topic, and it's...
They're not quite up yet, but in addition to our preview events on our website, within a week to 10 days, will probably be close to 50 videos that our presenters have recorded, because they may not be able to attend a preview event. So on our website, that would be a great way for folks who can't come to a preview or want to learn more about other classes they didn't see at a preview, to check those out on our website.
Oh, great. So there's really no excuse for people not to dip their toe in the water and give OLLI a try, because you're making it very easy for people to find out more, to experience it, and to be a part of it in some way. So
the course catalog, and folks are very welcome to call and get one. In the back, we actually have an index, and it shows all the courses that are being offered in each of the regions, by date order. So somebody can come out and say, I have a house in the Seacoast in the summer. What's out there in June? And take classes out there in June. Or if you'd like to know about all the courses in Concord, they're certainly listed that way.
Or, you know, when the fall term comes around, if you decide you'd like to check out the foliage up north and do a class at the same time, there's that wonderful opportunity. So there's, you know, OLLI offers so much, and I can't say enough about it. And Tori, we are just about out of time.
How can that be?
It can't be. It has to be, you know, wrong.
But would you like to give a shameless plug for the 2 courses that you're doing this term?
I'm doing a course in Concord on Ethel Merman, Mary Martin, and Carol Channing and their Broadway careers, because they never were big movie stars, but they were huge on Broadway. And in Manchester, I'm going to make people cry without the use of an onion. I'm doing a class, Pass the Kleenex, Hollywood Classic Tearjerkers. I am going to provide little packets of Kleenex, and why tearjerkers manage to make us cry even the 30th or 40th time we see them. So.
And in Manchester, you are using one of the most beautiful rooms for your course that we've had the good fortune to use. But we're using at UNH Manchester their film screening room with cushy chairs and beautiful
to the floor, great sound, screen. You feel like you're in a private screening room and somebody's.
It really does feel like somebody has walked you into for a treat.
People, when they first walked in for the winter class, a fall class, were like, am I in the right room? Is this really it? And they were so thrilled to
it's a
have
beautiful
that.
room.
So,
and we're happy to have that opportunity.
Well, I will see you at the preview on the 21st. Terrific. I look forward to it. And I want to thank you, Tori, for taking some time to plug our favorite OLLI, because Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, OLLI, here in New Hampshire is something that everyone needs to try out because you'll keep coming back for more. And with a spokesperson like you, Tori, how can we not want to participate? So
Thank you for having us.
Thank
We
you
appreciate
again.
the opportunity.
We'll see you in class.
See you in class.
Okay. And this is Paul Brogan thanking all of you for checking out another edition of Capital Area Chats. I want to thank Matt, my man behind the scenes, for all he does. I want to thank Concord TV. I want to thank OLLI and Tori Berube, and all of you who let me know that you enjoy the shows. Thank you, and I'll see you again soon.